For what to watch this morning, hold on to your hats.
I wish we had some right now.
Yeah, I know, 10-gallon hats, because Beyonce's new 27-track album, Act 2, Cowboy Carter, dropped at midnight. Queen Bee herself says this ain't a country album, this is a Beyonce album. And her hit, Texas Hold'em, which came out last month, made her the first black woman ever with a #1 single on the Hot Country Songs chart. Yesterday, she unveiled the track list for Act 2, Cowboy Carter, and now we are finally hearing all the legendary collaborations and covers. And yes, Dolly Parton's classic Jolene is there. Influencer and Beyonce superfan Kaylin Allen is here to dive into Cowboy Carter, and you came correct, my brother.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I cannot handle.
So Kaylin, let me get your take on this. She says this is not a country album, it's a Beyonce album.
Yes.
How do you interpret it?
I love that. You know, I'm originally from Kansas, so I grew up around country music, and I think what is great about this album is that Beyonce being from Texas, and the reason why she says it's not a country album, but it's a Beyonce album, because I think what she does great in this album is honor all of her roots and the experiences that she has had growing up in Texas, and then going far beyond Texas into pop music, into R&B. So it's a fusion of all those things that make her who she is into one project.
You know, a lot of people are talking about how this is so genre bending. Talk about how we got here, how Beyonce got to this moment, and why it's so important.
Well, you know, she spoke about it a little bit after her experience at the CMA Awards, you know, and when she went there and she performed with the Dixie Chicks, at that time, Daddy Lessons, which was on the album Lemonade. And what was interesting is that I remember that moment and the fact that the performance was pulled off the socials, off of YouTube, because of how racist the comments got, you know, and I think people that were there should feel really ashamed that we are gatekeeping the roots of human beings and where they come from. Like, country music is not a genre. Well, it's a genre, but it's not a culture. You know what I mean? It's all about geographical location and where you grow up and what you experience. And we should be able to celebrate those things at all points of our lives.
You know, one of the things that I thought was interesting, and I think it's hard for people if you don't have a little bit of understanding of music history, popular music in America, you might sometimes find it hard to make some of those connections. But I pointed out to my producer yesterday, if you take a classic blues song like Etta James performing I Wish I Were Blind, and then you put Chris Stapleton's version of Tennessee Whiskey, the chord structures and the music is exactly the same. It's just that he's singing about whiskey and she's singing about her man walking off with another woman, and you can hear the connection and the threads between specifically rhythm and blues and country music, and that has been since the beginning. The banjo was invented by enslaved African Americans here in the United States, so that's one of the prevalent sounds in country music. Everybody from Ray Charles to Bobby Womack to Tina Turner herself released a country album, and why could Tina Turner release a country album? She's from Tennessee.
Exactly.
It's what Beyonce is doing here.
Absolutely. And I think that's one. I think what's also special, you know, we were talking a little bit about Blackbird. You know, the fact that Beyonce has put people like Britney Spencer on these songs, you know, and these black country artists that are sometimes just left behind or not put in the spotlight, and that she's elevating them and using her platform to expose them to a new audience. I think that's also beautiful.
I also want to ask about this moment of almost reclamation for her. She's taking some of the covers that we know so well, you know, Willie Nelson, Dolly Parton, Jolene specifically, I thought really had this very different message than the original song.
This message of Jolene is, as my colleague Tarika Duncan said, the original, which everybody loves, is like, please don't take my man.
Right.
And this one, she like,
you better not take my man.
Okay, you got the wrong one today.
We're coming for you. And the memes are just amazing, right? But you're really seeing people respond to a new idea, a new theme, a new message for a very old, beloved song.
Yes, and I think the message in that for all of us is what I enjoy is this freedom that Beyonce has found, especially as an artist. You know what I mean? Like, think of us sitting at this table. Think of the things that we have done as kids or the things that we want it to be. And learning that we can always go back to those things at any point of our lives, that we are not confined to a box, you know? We don't have to just follow by the rules that people tell us that we're supposed to do.
So let me ask you about how fans are interpreting, and is this what you were asking about yesterday? We were talking about this, the sashes that she's wearing in the photos for Cowboy Carters and some of the imagery that we're seeing on the cover.
It is intentional.
Yes.
What are the fans? What is the intent, and what are fans saying?
Well, first of all, the sash really pays homage to the rodeo queen, you know, that is always dictated at a rodeo. And she wears a sash, she wears a tiara, and that is, representative of that. But specifically with Beyonce in the sash, especially in the alternate cover, it says Beyonce. Correct. Yes, that one. So her cousin Angie, her last name is actually Beyonce. That is actually Tina Knowles. Her maiden name is Beyonce. But there was this whole birth certificate thing because black people were back in the day were lucky enough to get a birth certificate. You know what I mean? And so when she was given hers, it was spelled wrong. It was spelled Beyonce. So only 2 people in their family actually have that as their last name, but everybody else is Beyonce. And so that was Beyonce paying homage to that time and part of her family as well.
I love that because we were talking about some of the imagery yesterday, and it's just great to have some context and know what the intention there was.
Correct. I mean, Beyonce doesn't do anything without purpose and intention.
course
There is a
not.
reason for everything.
It's certainly a work of art.
Let me ask you this. This is a question that I think a lot of people will have. Are people going to be exploring artists beyond Beyonce in country music as a result of this record?
Absolutely. I think we've already seen that happen, you know, especially when it came to TikToks. It has opened up a portal to so many different artists that are in this space already, you know, and giving them a front row seat, especially to black people, you know, being able to now dive into country, but also not be ashamed of it.
That's right.
Feeling like you can take ownership of it.
Yeah, a real moment of freedom and reclamation. I love those 2 words for this album. Thank you so much,
Caleb,
Caitlin
always
Allen.
good to have you, man. Love it.